Okay. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are on this planet. And welcome to all our more than human friends. And extending this is a third in our series of conversations with Trina Casey and Garry Turner on Hegemony Revealed. And as we were talking a little while ago, something occurred to me about hegemony, that it is not a uni-layered thing. It's not one thing that you can rip off and have a different world, a different planet. It's multi layered, it's like an onion. The more you peel, the more you see the hidden layers, and there are layers, and there are layers. And one of our emergent, and I say emergent by design and by nature, emergent goals of this conversation is to reveal some of those hegemonies as we discover them together. Also, hegemony has been around us for so long in the form of this singular narrative that we've stopped seeing it. It's invisible. And because it is invisible, it is all the more powerful. It's pervasive. So we don't see we only see the symptoms. We don't see where they're stemming from. And as we explore in our third conversation, as we begin, I welcome all of you who've joined us today live, who might see this talk later on, and anywhere on this planet, to think about, to reflect on the hegemonies that are ruling our lives, that have controlled, that have literally colonized our imagination. And that's exactly what I think we're collectively suffering from: colonization of our collective imagination by a hegemonic narrative none of us really signed up for. So, welcome to this conversation and let's get going. Thank you.
That was perfect. Thank you, Shahana.
Thank you.
Well, Garry, go ahead and jump in.
I'm just sitting in the poetic depth of that introduction, Johanna, and I'd love to hear
Yeah.
from you, Trina, but I just want to share one thing for me, which is to bring this to life really quickly, so quickly in this third conversation. I was in a conversation with someone in my workplace around 3 weeks ago, and I was trying to have the conversation around this topic in my own way, not too direct, because sometimes it's a bit, it's a bit scary for people if they've not been exploring this. But what I kept coming up against, Trina and Johanna, was this statement repeatedly: but it doesn't exist. And then I said, but what if it could? No, but it doesn't exist. And they were so powerfully stuck in that
Mm,
story of this is where we are. It cannot go beyond that place.
mm,
They said it three times in a row.
right.
It, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. What do you want me to do about it? It doesn't exist.
Mm,
And I just wanted to offer that into the space today as a very real example of the paralysis that can come if we
mm.
don't allow ourselves to reimagine. So yeah, I'll just put that into the space. Thanks.
Gosh, it's so true. It's you're an idealistic person. You're a utopian thinking person. If you just point out the fact, and this is a fact, all of this crap is made up by somebody, one after another. It's just like Shahana was saying, it's like an onion. It just piled one layer on top of another layer. You know, I think of the original colonization of the Americas, and how, you know, I've seen a lot of jokes about it lately and said, I discovered this place, and people are staring at them like, discovered? What did you discover? They're looking around too. This is my place now. I discovered this place. But ever since that moment, There's just everything has been put in place to solidify this idea that it's mine and nobody else has a right to it and nobody else can change it. A really, really stuck mentality, a very effective gaslight that how powerless the rest of us are.
Yeah.
And it could be it's the furthest from the truth. That's what I don't understand. It's like if these particular people, group of people who had this vision for the world were able to do it, why can't we collectively create another vision and execute that vision just as much, just as quickly? Because I don't think it has to take forever. I just think it has to take, it's a choice.
Yep.
Step out.
It's a choice. And every choice we make goes towards creating the world we want. And what you said, Carrie, about it doesn't exist triggered something in my mind. It's still forming. It's almost like it exists if it comes from a set of people identified as powerful in today's hegemony. Then it exists. Then life on Mars exists. Then a space, whatever exists. Then a driverless car exists. But if it comes from the rest of us, then it can't exist. Then it can't, because then it's such a huge threat to the existence of this all powerful 1% that they can't allow it to exist. The moment anyone at the top has to acknowledge that an alternate narrative or alternate narratives exist, then their narrative is no longer powerful. It's just one of many. And one of many that is failing to make sense of the current world, whose time is past, whose due expiry date is long gone. It should just be binned. So it doesn't exist when it comes from you and me and Trina and others like us. But it exists if it comes from a Bill Gates or Elon Musk and whoever else.
Mm. And here we have the agenda, the
Yep.
the white supremacy, the royal class, the whatever title you want to put on it. It just comes from arrogance, arrogance,
Entitlement.
entitlement. Yes. Mm, mm. It reminds me of a conversation I had with my ex-husband about Elon Musk. When Elon Musk first came out, and he was writing his narrative about being a poor guy and having this vision and this idea and I said to my ex, I don't trust him. There's something about him that I don't trust how he's talking about it. I just don't trust him. My internal alarms went off immediately. You know, I could just see the narcissism on him, you know, the megalomaniac underneath, you know. And this is what we as a collective ignore. Because if we looked at every single person that is leading the conversations or the hegemony, they're the exact same energy.
Mm. Trina, I've got to chip in here. There's something I saw. I don't know if you're on Twitter or not, the platform Twitter. I tend to be on there solely for observation purposes, not for much else. I saw something
Okay.
today that I'm not going to share because I feel it would be offensive to both of you in this
Mm,
moment. But it was a meme that Elon Musk shared this morning on
mm,
so-called Valentine's Day of one woman holding the hair of another woman, feeding her a milk in a bottle, saying Elon's tweet and Twitter. Elon's tweet was actually the woman standing over the other woman while she's pulling the
mm,
hair, feeding her a milk bottle. And I'm like, on
What
what
does that
planet
mean?
would any human being post a tweet like that, let alone someone with 115 million followers? It's terrifying. Like I say, I would share the picture, but I don't want to offend you or anybody else. But it's just, this is the level of supremacy culture that's in play,
mm,
that's okay. And most people will just go, oh, it's just been funny. It's okay. It's just being
mm.
Elon, without any critical thoughts or any,
Yes.
who's being oppressed, who's being sidelined, who's being erased again, who's being erased by that being okay.
And,
Exactly.
and if you see the ones doing the erasing, the ones doing these apparently silly but extremely offensive actions,
Mm-hmm.
are the ones that today's technocratic machine age idolizes.
Exactly.
Okay, so something I kind of maybe a little bit of digression, but I believe that a society is known by the people it feeds, it cherishes and idolizes.
Mm-hmm.
So there was Gandhi, there was Martin Luther King, there was Nelson Mandela, there was Mother Teresa, and now you have the likes of Bill Gates and Elon Musk. So by where a society is headed by the people it is holding up as role models for the
Mm-hmm.
youth, for the next generation. And it's
Mm-hmm.
scary to see such people, narcissistic psychopaths, held up as role
Exactly.
models for a future generations to come who will see Silicon Valley as the center of development, not
Mm.
for human good, but for self driven power and privilege that you can grasp as much as you can take.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
what does that tell us about this entire? So, why, going back to what Gary started with, why would an alternate narrative coming from whoever? And here I'm stressing whoever because when it comes to this kind of power structure, skin color doesn't matter. Not as much. It
Mm-mm.
matters. It still matters. But not as much. This power structure of the privileged
Mm-hmm.
is now set to, sort of literally, uh, they'll destroy the world before they give it up. It's that kind of a energy.
That's what I feel too. They're literally, I mean, they've been doing it for hundreds of years now. The disconnect from the living, the disconnect from the planet, the disconnect from each other, I think is extremely purposeful. You can't care about something that you objectify. You can't rape something that you objectify. That's women are objects. The planet is an object. There's no connection. And and I think this is why the whole technology thing has boomed the way it is. It is an object. The ultimate object in their mind is, he wants to, Musk wants to put these brain chips in our brain so that we can communicate, do things without. He puts it under the guise of medical advances, but I don't think that's the goal. I don't think anything taking us that far away from natural order is a positive thing. I really don't. So there was a video, Russell Brand posted this video, and it's a real advertisement. Okay. I can't think of the name of the company, but what they were advertising was a new future for for people with fertility issues. It went into this whole thing of how the fertility rates are so low over the over the planet, and here's the solution: little matrix type cubicles where you get to customize your baby to look whatever you want it to look like. And this is a true advertisement. This is what they want. There's cubicle of little babies and embryonic fluid, and you can come visit it. And when it's ready, you know, it was a and it was like a lines and lines and lines of these tubes with babies growing inside of it. It was the most disgusting concept to me. And then I think
Ever.
somebody just recently posted the viability of incubating babies in a body of a woman who's brain dead.
I read that.
Yes, but physically able to supply nutrients to the child. Is that the solution for is that the way, excuse me, Garry, men get out of making a personality and treating women with respect and emotional intelligence? Is that how we get out of that process of growth?
It's the most dystopian image of assembly line of baby production.
100%. 100%.
So the thing is, the word that Trina is using repeatedly is disconnection.
Yeah.
So it's not only disconnection from the rest of nature. Forget nature. It's just a kind of a supply of resources, right? Raw materials, and dumping ground for the waste. It's not only disconnection from others. It is such a deep disconnection from their own selves
Mhm.
that it's almost like they have already become, these people who are even thinking of these things have already become walking, talking zombies. And as walking, talking zombies, they are probably petrified of true human beings with creativity, with empathy, with passion for life, with joy, with a sense of deep interconnectedness. They're terrified of that vision. They want
Absolutely.
zombies. They want our brains with chips that they can control, that they can see on some screen somewhere. Imagine human beings, billions of us, just free to create, free to imagine a dignified and beautiful life on this planet together, connected to each other. That terrifies this lot. They are zombies. They're just
Yes,
zombies trying to control and turn everyone else into zombies.
exactly.
It's honestly, I'm sitting here in like a mixture of absolute inspiration, bemusement, and absolute like abject terror, all at the same time. Be- 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 Because what we're joining, and I think in just 20 minutes today for me, if anybody hasn't watched our shows today, like this is the one to come and watch. The other ones have been great, but like in just 20 minutes, this is how you can dive deep into this whole hegemonic conversation, right? Really, because we started with quite simply, repeatedly, someone saying it doesn't exist. We've gone
Hmm.
around the houses in a few different areas. We've come back to the same point, right? What's going
Hmm.
on? What was that person inside of themselves telling
Mm.
themselves to only go? It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Because it's nothing to do with the connection to me. It's nothing to do with the connection to Trina or Shahana. It's nothing to do with the connection to nature. That all comes after. What are you telling yourself
Yeah,
inside?
yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes, full circle, Garry. You got it.
It's like
You got it.
Okay.
It's amazing. You really just brought into focus. You brought it into focus because that's true. That person said it doesn't exist. That means he's saying he doesn't exist.
He doesn't.
He doesn't exist.
You've hit me. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. You've smacked me in the heart with that statement. I've got to say, Trina, wow.
How many people are walking around feeling that way, just numb? Because the hegemony has made them into work mules, made them powerless, made them feel like they can't make changes. They're traumatized. Trauma is just embedded in the hegemony in order to create this type of disconnect. Everybody wants to disconnect from pain and suffering. And I think that's the whole point of the torture. You know, what do they do in war? They do all these torture techniques. What do they do in prison? They put you in solitary confinement. How different is the world
Yep.
right now?
Yep.
How different
And
is it?
yep. And then replace connection with more consumer goods that you don't need,
Yeah. Bye.
that you're anyways killing the planet to produce, and then that will anyways end up in a landfill somewhere, and that will anyways pollute the ocean. So, so the disconnection has become like this. I see this disconnection as kind of a virus, like the COVID, which
Mm-hmm.
has spread so deep into the veins of the people who have bought into the story that forget, like you've said, Trina, so powerfully, that forget anything else. They don't exist for themselves. If you ask someone, what is your inner voice telling you to do at this moment? Either they'll think it's a mad question, you're mad, or they'll just look at you with glazed eyes and go,
Mm-hmm.
one of those again.
Yeah. Oh, here comes that hippy dippy
Yeah,
lady
yeah.
again.
I keep getting that look, so I'm used to that look. Because they are so used to listening to people like Elon Musk's out there that they don't know what their inner voice is telling them. They don't know that an inner voice exists. And this hegemonic narrative has so successfully made the separation of the external and the internal, of matter and inner nature, of that externality has taken on a reality beyond every hope of the creators of the story.
It's the new religion. That, you know, to me, when I look at how religion became, uh, first, I think it was purely a concept of connection to nature. It was spirit. You talked about Shinto. You talked about Buddhism. It was about spiritual connection to the elements, to earth, wind, air. There was something grounded in connection. And then the hegemony took that concept away from us, the people, and said, let me package it in this perfect little box and then create a deity that looks just like us. And we will use that manipulation to control the rest. Okay? Do you know how many people, when I say the word hegemony, has never heard of the word once? It is amazing. You know, I have started introducing it to my clients just to give them some type of perception of why they are where they are internally. I said, look up this word. I've never heard of that word. I said, I know. You didn't learn it in school, neither did I. Look it up. And when they look it up, the next session, they're like, Oh my goodness. Just looking that word up puts so much in perspective in my life on why I feel the way that I feel. It's hegemony is a powerful word, just as powerful as the construct that it is. It's just everybody's been asleep to the reality that it exists.
I can say, Trina, that I was one of those people till 18 months ago, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Never heard of it. And it's only when our collective good friend Samantha Sapaya, uh, Shahana, made me aware of it. And I was like, oh my God, this is so interesting. What is
Yes.
this? Like, let me dive into that. But you're right, Trina. For me, it's actually a word that even as you phonetically speak it, it carries a heaviness. You
Mm.
know, hegemony. There's very few words like hegemony that actually feel like they're oppressing you as you say it. That's how I feel when I
Mm.
say the word. It's really, it carries a lot of weight. It really
Mm.
does.
Yeah. Hedge,
It hedges
divide,
you in, literally. If you look at it,
hedge,
it hedges
divide.
you in.
Yeah, a divide between people,
Yeah.
you know? Sharp edges. That's what I see. Sharp edges. It cuts, you know? And then money, money, money. That's what I hear. When I hear the money part, I think of money, power.
And today, if you see how success, quote unquote, that word, is equated with material wealth, with power, with money, with
Yes.
everything that is external, never with
Influence.
never with joy,
Influence. Yeah.
never with abundance, never with feeling contented, never with altruism. And I would say probably the most derogatory word used today to sort of, lower someone, make someone feel less than, is a loser. And
Mm.
what is a loser? Who has defined a loser?
Mm.
Why will I try to succeed in a society, in a civilizational order that is collapsing, that is profoundly unstable, and that is profoundly sick? Why would I even try to succeed in that sick order? I would rather be a loser
Yes.
within that order
Wow.
any
It's
day.
not, yeah, you're not a loser. You're awake.
That's the
Anybody
problem.
who's, anyone who's
People,
awake is a loser.
people who step away from the system, or rather question the system, because we're still within it. We don't
Yeah.
yet have a step away, but
Yeah.
we know that we can create that step away place,
Hmm.
and we question it. The system has to sort of discard them, because then they start bugging the system. They start, disrupting the system. Yeah,
Planting
puncturing the system,
seeds. Yeah.
pricking
Hmm.
holes in that beautiful balloon bubble
Hmm.
that's anyways bursting.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Mm.
I refuse to adjust to a profoundly sick civilizational order. And
Right.
that makes us what? And now you know, Gary, why they couldn't take you on. You were too too potent. You were too powerful for them,
Yes.
not the other ways. You
Your
started by
vision
saying you
was
felt
clear.
impotent. I
Hmm.
wanted to sort of say, no, just the opposite.
Hmm.
Mm.
They were too scared of your power. They're scared of the awakeness.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And I think it's so exciting as we go to wrap up today's. I think you're setting up the beautiful next conversation with whoever joins us, because there's some people starting to show some interest to join us. We want to put that out
Yeah.
to everybody that's watching us
Yes.
live or watching this back. We love these conversations. We're getting deeper and understanding more by doing this together. But we want to get you involved as well, should you be interested. Yeah. So let us know. Drop any one of us a line should you want to. But I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you, Shahana. And do you know something? That's definitely been a big learning. Like it's taken a little bit of processing of letting go and going, hey, actually, okay, thank you for being honest that you're not ready for something new. but equally a lot of sadness, because as you know, the sector I work within is actually one of the most degenerative currently. And I really believed that they had enough vision to try. And then Hegemony pulled them back, said, nope, get like a cane around the neck like a cartoon. So it's interesting, very interesting times. But I just want to honour all of your time and everybody watching. Should we go to a little round of checkout for this session? I'd love maybe to go to Trina, Shahana, then back to myself. What are you taking away from our exploration today, Trina?
Well, like all of our explorations, I'm always just extremely grateful that I'm not alone and that I get to share the space and pick the brain. And so much downloads in me during these sessions. And it just adds to the clarity of my vision for the future and what I hope for the next 10 generations. And it also makes me, profoundly, sometimes saddened, like you said, that everyone is so stuck in their own way that they can't reconnect. All this other stuff is in the way of their reconnection with themselves. And once you reconnect, once you say, okay, family, religion, all that stuff's out of my way, money, prestige, gone. Who am I? Who am I? Then that's when we create a better future. Shahana?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Trina. I think so. I was talking about disconnection, and how this narrative, hegemonic narrative, has driven that disconnection into the very roots of the civilization. But when we have a conversation like this, it just makes me realize how viscerally false that is, and how true it is that we are so deeply interconnected, so deeply interrelated, that each conversation is like it's like an amplification of everything that's within me, that comes from you, comes from Garry. We are three different continents, three different skin colors. So what? The interconnectedness exists, and here is the proof of that. That is what I'm taking away so deeply. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you both. Just amazing. And I think I'm going to be watching this one back, because you both just dropped some mic drop moments like heck, and I'm just sitting in a profound appreciation of both of you, truly, because this is therapy. This is live therapy, but not therapy to solve a trauma. It's therapy to escape the matrix. While it remains as toxic as it is, it's almost maybe not therapy. Maybe a pressure valve release is a better metaphor. So as we're having to coexist within the hegemonic narratives, the systems that are collapsing, I feel that this incredible space we're co-creating with and for one another and the people out there, it's really like having a snorkel. Yeah? And you're able to take a breath and go, we know why we're doing this. We know what really exists. But while we've got this all-consuming hegemonic supremacist narrative all over us, we're just finding the space to breathe. And that's how I feel every conversation is a space to breathe. So thank you both for that.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we'll be back in 2 weeks, huh? 2 weeks time.
2 weeks.
We'll be back. So thanks everyone. Again, if you're interested to join us, drop Trina a note, drop Shahana a note, drop me a note. We are equitable partners. This is a co-created show in the most intentional way. And have a great day. Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.